When you're scrolling through office chair options, it's easy to get lured by the $150 plus deals that promise ergonomic bliss only to find after a week of Zoom calls that the seat sags, the armrests wobble, and the lumbar support feels like a cheap strap. I've been there, and the regret that follows makes you question every purchase decision. That's why I wanted to see if the Steelcase gesture really lives up to the hype or if it's just another pricey gimmick. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The first thing I thought about was risk. A chair is a 24-hour companion for most of us, especially if you're working from home or spend long hours in a studio. You can't afford to treat it like a disposable item. The gesture promises a seat and back move as a synchronized system, which sounds like a lot of engineering jargon, but the real test is whether that system adapts when you lean forward to type, sit back to read, or swivel to answer a phone. I set up a week-long trial in my home office, alternating between drafting, video editing, and a marathon of back-to-back meetings, to see how the chair behaved under different postures. From the moment I unfolded the Ready-to Assemble package, the first impression was that Steelcase meant business. The frame is a solid, matte black steel that doesn't wobble when you shift weight, and the carpet casters roll smoothly across my plush area rug without digging in. The seat fabric, a 100% polyester connect weave, feels like a high-end upholstery you'd see in a conference room rather than a home desk. That tactile quality alone separates it from the budget mesh chairs that tend to feel either too slick or too clingy after a few hours. One of the standout practical strengths is the depth of adjustment. The seat slide lets you move the cushion forward or back in roughly 2-inch increments, which is a game changer if you have longer legs or if you like to sit with your feet planted firmly while you type. I have a 6-foot frame, and the ability to push the seat forward gave me a proper thigh angle without having to crane my knees up to the desk. The fully adjustable arms also deserve a mention. Not only can you raise, lower, and pivot them, but you can also change the width, which means they can accommodate a narrow tablet setup or a wide keyboard rig without forcing your shoulders into an uncomfortable position. The adjustable lumbar support, often the make-or-break feature for office chairs, is surprisingly intuitive on the gesture. There's a knob on the back that lets you slide the support up and down, and a separate tension dial that lets you decide how firm the curve feels. I spent a few minutes finding a sweet spot that matched the natural curve of my spine, and once set, the support stayed consistent even when I leaned forward during a long design sprint. That consistency is something I've missed on cheaper chairs that either collapse under weight or become too rigid after a few adjustments. Durability is another area where the gesture seems to earn its premium label. The manufacturer backs it with a 12-year warranty, which is a strong signal that the components are meant to survive daily use. In practice, the chair held up to the wear and tear of daily repositioning, the occasional bump into the desk, and the weight of a full-size monitor arm mounted on its back. The plastic clips that hold the seat cushion in place felt robust, and after a week of testing, there were no audible squeaks or loose bolts, something that's common in lower-priced models after a few days of use. Now, let's talk about the trade-offs. The first downside is the price tag. At well over $1,000, it's not a purchase you'll make on a whim, and the investment can feel steep if you're only looking for a good enough chair for occasional remote work. That said, the cost reflects the engineering and the warranty, but it does mean you have to be sure it matches your needs. Another practical weakness is the assembly process. While the box is labeled ready to assemble, you'll still need a screwdriver, a clear workspace, and about 30 minutes of patience. The instructions are thorough, but the weight of the frame can make the final tightening a bit of a workout if you're alone. Who should consider the gesture? If you're a professional who spends 8 or more hours at a desk, designers, programmers, writers, or anyone who values precise ergonomics, the chair's depth of adjustment and synchronized back mechanism can reduce the fatigue that builds up over a day. It's also a solid choice for people who have already tried lower-priced chairs and found them lacking, especially when it comes to lumbar support that actually moves with you. If your work involves frequent leaning forward, switching between sitting and standing, or using multiple peripherals that demand different arm positions, the gesture gives you the flexibility to fine-tune each axis without buying add-on accessories. On the flip side, if you're a casual user who only logs a